For over 70 years, it has been the United States' most jealously guarded secret. It is not a weapon, but the technology that allows a weapon to become the perfect predator. The silent, unlimited, and terrifying power of nuclear submarine propulsion. This technology is the crown jewel of American military might, a secret shared with only one nation for most of history. But what happens when that secret is given away? In a move that has sent a geopolitical earthquake across the Indo-Pacific, the United States has just done the unthinkable. President Donald Trump has announced that America will share its nuclear submarine technology with the Republic of Korea. This isn't just a weapons sale. It's a fundamental rewriting of the rules of power in one of the most volatile regions on Earth. This decision creates a new nuclear-powered nation in China's backyard, aims to check North Korean aggression, and revitalizes an American industry in a shocking twist. But it also opens a Pandora's box of questions about a new arms race and the very real danger of nuclear proliferation. This is the story of a bombshell deal, a geopolitical chessboard in motion, and how a shipyard in Philadelphia became the unlikely epicenter of a decision that will change the balance of power forever. The setting was Gyeongju, the ancient capital of Korea, a city steeped in history. But on November 3rd, 2025, it became the stage for a history-making announcement. During a high-stakes meeting, President Donald Trump, alongside South Korean President Lee Jae-myung, dropped a diplomatic bombshell. He confirmed that the United States would provide the critical technology and support for South Korea to develop and build its own fleet of nuclear-powered attack submarines. For decades, this was Seoul's impossible dream. Every previous request had been politely but firmly denied by Washington. Nuclear propulsion was the exclusive domain of the world's top powers. Now, the door was suddenly open. President Lee Jae-myung was quick to manage the narrative, emphasizing to a nervous world that his nation was seeking nuclear fuel for propulsion, not for nuclear weapons. His stated goal was clear: to gain the capability to relentlessly hunt down and deter the growing submarine threats from its aggressive northern neighbor and an increasingly powerful China. But the most stunning detail was in the fine print. These advanced submarines wouldn't be built in the sprawling shipyards of Ulsan or Gyeongju in South Korea. They would be constructed 7,000 miles away, in the United States, at the Philadelphia shipyard, a facility recently and strategically acquired by the South Korean defense and industrial giant, the Hanwha Group. The deal was audacious, complex, and layered, and as the news broke, military analysts and diplomats from Beijing to Tokyo scrambled to understand its true implications. To grasp the magnitude of this decision, you have to understand why a nuclear-powered submarine isn't just a better version of a conventional one. It's a completely different species of weapon. For a century, submarines have been defined by a critical weakness: they need air. Conventional diesel-electric submarines are essentially air-breathing vessels. They run on batteries when submerged, which gives them a period of stealthy silence. But those batteries have limited life. To recharge them, the submarine must surface or use a snorkel, running its diesel engines. This is the moment of maximum vulnerability. It makes noise, it has a physical presence on the surface, and it limits its operational tempo. A diesel sub is like a cheetah, capable of incredible stealth and deadly sprints, but it must constantly stop to rest and breathe. A nuclear-powered submarine, or SSN, has no such limitation. Its power source is a small, sealed nuclear reactor that can operate for decades without refueling. It generates its own oxygen from seawater and can stay submerged for months at a time. The only limit on its endurance is the amount of food it can carry for its crew. This transforms it from a coastal defense weapon into a global power projection tool. It is a true submarine, an apex predator of the deep. It can trail enemy fleets undetected, appear anywhere in the world without warning, and serve as an invulnerable platform for intelligence gathering and land attack missiles. Giving a nation the ability to build these is like giving them the keys to a completely new dimension of naval warfare. So, why would the United States reverse 70 years of policy? The answer lies in the rapidly darkening strategic map of the Indo-Pacific. First, there is the persistent threat from the north. North Korea has been aggressively pursuing a submarine-launched ballistic missile capability. They recently unveiled a vessel they claim is a tactical nuclear attack submarine, the Hero Kim Kuno-K. While Western analysts believe it's a crude retrofitted design, its purpose is to create a survivable second strike nuclear capability. For South Korea, having a North Korean submarine potentially armed with nuclear weapons lurking off its coast is an existential threat. A fleet of nuclear-powered hunter-killer submarines is the most effective antidote. But the far larger driver of this decision is China. The People's Liberation Army Navy has undergone one of the most staggering military expansions in modern history. In just 2 decades, it has grown from a coastal defense force into the world's largest navy by number of ships, including a growing fleet of its own advanced nuclear-powered submarines. This naval power is the backbone of Beijing's anti-access area denial strategy, designed to keep the U.S. Navy at bay and exert control over critical waterways like the South China Sea and the Taiwan Strait. South Korea is on the front line of this new reality. A fleet of South Korean SSNs serves multiple American strategic goals at once. It forces China to divert immense resources to track them, complicates Beijing's naval planning, and provides a powerful deterrent within the U.S. alliance structure. It empowers a key ally to carry a much heavier burden in maintaining regional security, allowing the U.S. Navy to focus on the broader Pacific. This isn't the first time the U.S. has shared this sacred technology. The first, and for a long time only recipient, was the United Kingdom, a bond forged in the fires of World War II. More recently, the world was stunned by the AUKUS Pact, a landmark agreement between Australia, the UK, and the US to provide Australia with nuclear-powered submarines. That deal was seen as a generational commitment, but it was also incredibly complex, with a multi-decade timeline and intense debate over its execution. The South Korean deal appears different. It's more direct and uniquely tied to an industrial partnership. The decision to build the submarines in Philadelphia is a masterstroke of economic and political engineering. American naval shipyards are currently stretched to their absolute limit, struggling to produce submarines for the U.S. Navy and fulfill the AUKUS commitments. By having South Korea's Hanwha Group own and operate the Philadelphia shipyard, the deal aims to inject massive South Korean capital and industrial know-how to revitalize a piece of America's defense industrial base. It's a symbiotic arrangement. South Korea gets the submarines and the priceless technology without having to build the fantastically expensive and complex nuclear infrastructure at home. The United States gets a stronger ally, creates high-tech American jobs, and keeps the most sensitive part of the process, the construction of the nuclear reactor, under its direct supervision on U.S. soil. However, this bold strategic gambit comes with immense risks. Many fear that by opening this door for South Korea, the United States has also opened Pandora's box. The most immediate concern is a regional arms race. If South Korea operates a fleet of SSNs, what will be the reaction in Tokyo? Japan, another key U.S. ally and a naval powerhouse in its own right, will be under enormous pressure to match this capability. How will China respond? The most likely answer is by accelerating its own naval construction, potentially leading to a dangerous, spiraling security dilemma in the seas of Northeast Asia. The second, more delicate risk is nuclear proliferation. It is crucial to distinguish between nuclear propulsion and nuclear weapons. But the fuel used in American submarine reactors is typically highly enriched uranium, or HEU, the same weapons-grade material used in nuclear bombs. Providing HEU to a non-nuclear weapon state, even under strict safeguards, sets a troubling precedent. It could potentially weaken the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty, NPT, as other countries could argue they too have a right to pursue HEU for naval reactors, muddying the waters and making it harder to detect illicit weapons programs. Finally, there are the unanswered questions. The announcement was a political earthquake, but the technical and diplomatic aftershocks are just beginning. The Pentagon has been conspicuously silent, declining to comment on the deal's specifics. This could suggest intense debate is still happening behind the scenes. What is the timeline? How much will this cost? And who is paying for what? And most critically, what are the precise terms for providing and securing the nuclear fuel? These are the billion-dollar questions that will determine if this deal is a strategic masterstroke or a reckless gamble. The U.S.-South Korea nuclear submarine deal is a reflection of a new, more dangerous era. An era where the strategic competition in the Indo-Pacific is forcing nations to make bolder bets and break long-standing taboos. From Washington's perspective, it's a calculated risk designed to forge a more resilient and capable alliance, creating a porcupine strategy where key allies are so well armed they become indigestible to potential aggressors. It is a powerful move on the grand chessboard aimed at preserving a balance of power that has favored the U.S. and its allies for decades. But in arming an ally with the ultimate stealth weapon, the U.S. has also introduced a powerful new element of instability into an already tense region. The consequences of this decision, both intended and unintended, will ripple across the globe for years to come. The nuclear genie is not out of the bottle, but it is now powering the submarine next door. The question the world is now asking is this the move that secures the peace for the next generation? Or is it the first step down a path toward a conflict from which there is no return?